live on YouTube on my laptop, so everything's reversed. Always love that. Adds to the confusion of what it is I'm trying to do. So what am I talking about today? Um, Relief or change? This is quite a big question if you've got the courage to ask it of yourself. As a coach and a mentor, something that I see endless amounts of is people consuming personal development work, for want of a better description. So getting caught up in this idea or this cycle of a new course, a new workshop, a new book, a new documentary, a new technique, a new method, and we get caught up in this consumption. So just like TV and all this other stuff, we're actually getting caught up on a hamster wheel, which is this idea that the next form of personal development work that we undertake is going to save us. And I guess what I'm here to talk about or to share for people is the reality that if you want change and you don't just want that short-term gratification of 3 days or a week, or maybe if it's good work, a month, then you've got to push into the tough stuff. So I'm not against the personal development world because I've been in it for 28 years. What I am against is this false premise being sold to people that when you sit through that 3-day course, or when you sit through that 6-week workshop for an hour a week, when you fill out this form, when you practice this one tool alone, that all of a sudden you're going to be delivered this beautiful sense of change and everything is going to be rosy and much better for you, or you're going to reach those greater heights that you've been pushing for. And the truth is, and that most successful people will tell you, is that when they've pushed through a barrier, it's been after sitting in an immense amount of sometimes pain, suffering, doubt, annoyance, anger. They've had to sit in those places. So what you'll find is you've got two types of personal development work now. You've got the popular and the easily consumed because it's packaged beautifully. And it's got a nice little rounded price tag on it. And then you've got the fringe personal development. That's people like me. And that is the tough stuff. There are clients who could possibly use the word brutal when it comes to describing some of the techniques I might use. And that's not brutal with a lack of compassion or brutal with a lack of kindness or empathy. It's actually brutal with a massive amount of empathy, because I understood through my journey that the most pivotal points of change for me, and that the moments I took that complete left when I was heading right every single time, was when someone confronted me with something that I was uncomfortable with and I didn't want to hear. When someone said to me, "You are being a victim," and I would go to ape and I'd fight them and I'd say, "How dare you with my life? How could you tell me this? And I've achieved this." And then I would go away and I would have a look at myself and I would realize that in my self-honesty, which I'm incredibly strong with, and the first thing I teach people was I could look at myself in that mirror and go, "You know what? As much as I hated to hear it, this person was right." When you're able to face that lie that you've lived with and you've wrapped yourself in for long enough, or when you're able to face that series of small lies that you just hide behind, and that is the reality of the human experience. We all do it. There's no one on the face of the planet, maybe other than the Dalai Lama, who doesn't. But in the real world, we wrap ourselves in these misgivings purely because that's what we've been conditioned to do. So we don't talk about that because conditioning is something we can't go back and change. So we deal with what is now. And what is now is your ability to understand self-honesty, look at yourself and know that you are the one thing holding you back, and understand that if you're going to sign up for that next course, that next workshop, if you're going to sit through that next documentary, what are you going to do about it at the end of it? How are you going to measure the investment you've put in both time and money? And then you can bring yourself back to that question afterwards. Am I searching for relief or am I searching for change? If you want change, you need to find someone like me, a gnarly old person who's been in prison twice in Africa, a gnarly old person who spent his early years surrounded by chaos, trauma, addiction, and mental health. That person who was abducted at the age of 5 and now can sit in a room full of people and talk about it as a positive experience. Why? Because we've been there and we've lived through it. We're not just spewing up a bunch of information from a book or that was taught to us by someone who was taught by someone else, was taught by someone else. The tools I teach, the practices I give, are things that I use. It's the way I live. I could go on and on about this, but I feel today that might be the end of it. I hope that if anyone ever does watch this, there's that little glimmer of inspiration in there. Understand that I was no superhero to get myself through the things that I encountered in this life. I was just like you. And the things I conquered and things I overcame and my own personal junk that I had to overcome because of it, you could fill 3, 4, 5 books with. And that's not an exaggeration. I'll leave it for now, guys. And I'll be back again tomorrow.